I'm a 6th grade teacher at Harborview.
And I am too. I teach 6th grade. My name's Marcella Aguila. We're both Google certified educators, Apple teachers.
Mine is hired too.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
I am only
I am.
learning, or the Alici blended online.
Yeah.
Thanks
all
to
the good online.
Dr.
Yes. So I'm gonna be her banner away, and then we'll switch.
Yeah, so the bit.ly still up here if you need it. It is cap sensitive, so grab that. Okay, so how many of you have heard of EduProtocols? Yay, that's good. Okay, how many of you actually own a book? Okay, well, by the end of this, 2 more of you will also be proud owners of either Field Guide 1 or Field Guide 2. I've dabbled into both, but honestly there's so much in each book that you're going to be overwhelmed with the amount of ideas that are in each book. But they were created by Marlena Hayburn and John Carrefo. His motto is teach better, work less. I think every single one of us can get on board with that. I've had the pleasure of hearing him speak a couple of times. He came to our district to present on EduProtocols and how we can incorporate them into our classroom. And the idea behind them is that there is a consistent template that you introduce to the children. You spend the first couple weeks really diving in on what does the lesson design look like, not worrying too much about the content. It's more fun, lighthearted. And then eventually you can start getting deeper into the content because they understand the lesson design. The nice part is also it's adaptable to any content and any grade level. The first one that I did was 8 parts. I love this because how many elementary school teachers in here? Okay, do we have any kinders? Okay, any, and then 1st grade? No, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. Yes, okay. Well, even let's go middle school. High school? I know it's still an issue probably there too. Can we all say that we've taught grammar at one point in our career? And we all start with this. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to start with nouns. We're going to learn all about nouns. Next we're going to talk about common nouns, then we're going to move on to proper nouns. And 4 weeks later, we're through all the nouns and we're moving on to adjectives. Okay, 12 weeks of nouns. And then all of a sudden they come to the next grade level and we're like, okay, we're going to start with nouns again. What's a noun? And they're all like, don't remember. Teaching grammar in isolation has proven not to work. We know this because every year we're reteaching the same thing over and over again. So what they suggest you do is 8 parts. So pretty much everything is hyperlinked. This is one of the basic templates that you get. The idea is you start with a really funny, attention-getting picture. It's all driven by this picture. Yikes. Right away, you have the kids hooked. They are so entertained by it and they want to participate. The different parts include a 3-word sentence. We say we're going to talk like Tarzan. You need to include the who and the what is happening. So, girl clips hair. It can be simple as that. Who and what's happening. Then, as a class, the first couple times, obviously, you're doing this whole class, eventually releasing that responsibility to students. And you're going through the different parts. So you're going through what's a noun, what's an adjective, what's a verb, what's an adverb, all the different parts, and filling in the different sections. Eventually, they're going to create a short paragraph incorporating the words that they came up with. If you go into the other one, I took this and took it one more step further. Last year when I was in 3rd grade, I wanted the kids to identify the different parts, so I had them color-coded in their paragraph. It also allowed me to see which words they used. And then after, again, granted, this took a couple of days the first time to get through one, you start getting into more mini lessons. So you can see, like, okay, consistently they're still struggling with preposition. And you can do a mini lesson and then send them another one. Adaptable. Oh, wait.
Oh,
okay,
sorry.
no, you're going big first. Okay.
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
I can backtrack.
This is an extension of 8 parts. It's called sentence parts. So it gets beyond, okay, they have the different parts of a sentence. Now let's get into different types of sentence. Interrogative. Let's get a dialogue going. So it takes, again, the same idea, but expanding. Different characters. And then little parts.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah, of course. Please interrupt at any time.
For the 8 parts, how long do you take to teach that? Is that like to
blend together.
Okay.
And the other thing I was gonna say is, you can go low tech or high tech on any single one of these. You can print out the piece of paper and every single kid can be writing on it. I personally push it out through Google Classroom, and they each have their own that they're adding to. 100% your choice.
And you do the whole form in one day? Or do you do it over a series of days?
It depends what grade level.
Okay.
Yeah, so when I did this with sixth graders in the beginning of the year, we were able to get through it in one day. But then the idea is once, like, this could be assignment that they have every week, and since each kid's gonna be at a different place, Karen might turn it in and be like, Karen, you're awesome, here's your next picture, go. Where Tom over here, I realized I need some more help, so I might send him his assignment back and say, hey, you know, we still need to work on this part. So they could be still doing 2 different pictures, sorry, Tom.
It's okay, Tom will go with it.
But see, you're gonna get picked up. So again, it's, I know, it's okay, I'm expecting it. Little parts. For the little guys, obviously just removing some of the different, is no longer 8. So here we're focusing on 2. And again, there's all these,
there's different.
go to Twitter, there's my plug.
Thank you.
He's the man that made me get on Twitter. I stalked him for like a good year before I actually like committed to it, but a lot of these you can find out in the Twitter world. And then, this is our favorite part.
It is.
Here are 2 websites that have pictures already picked out for you. So, yeah, there's that.
There's this one.
But imagine how excited are your kids going to be to write
This
about
one.
this.
Yeah.
So again, you spend the first couple of weeks in this world of silly fun, focusing on the lesson design, and then eventually, okay, you guys know what's expected of you, you know what you need to do. Now I'm gonna bring in the content. So we've done this with social studies. We put an image of an ancient civilization, and the kids have to incorporate their knowledge of that civilization into their paragraph. Any questions on each parts? Manageable? How many of you think you could honestly do that on Monday morning? Yes!
Hey.
I'm done for the day.
No, you're not.
I'm not, but
Okay, my turn. So emojis. Emojis are like almost like a language now. Everyone uses them in their texting. The kids use them. They draw them. They wear them with their sweaters with sequins, and you go up and down. If you know what I'm talking about. So they're really powerful. And one thing John Spergo has as a protocol is the emoji power paragraph. And so what that is that you will get a series of emojis through the random emoji generator, which there's 2 versions that I'll show you. And then the kids write a paragraph about it. And you put the stipulations of what you want your kids to do. So maybe you want your kids to use dialogue, then their paragraph has to have dialogue in it. Maybe you want them to use figurative language, then their paragraph has to have figurative language. So you can see how you can go really crazy with this or keep it really basic. So this is an example, and you can see the 5 different emojis. So this, when I do this, I use 5 emojis, maybe 6. So for smaller kids, maybe 1 or 2. It just depends. So the story is, there was once a cool dude with shades. He lost them at Magic Mountain. He began to cry uncontrollably. He walked to his car as slow as a snail. Suddenly, a worker called out and said, "Hey man, are these your glasses?" And so that's their little story. And it's really fun for them because we want to create writing that's engaging and fun. A lot of the times kids are like, "Oh no, writing." But when I show like the emoji generator, they're like, "Oh," and all their Chromebooks already, like they're super excited.
and again, you can go low tech. Here's a piece of paper and a pencil.
Yeah, for sure.
So you just put the generator up and then they all write to the same emoji.
Yeah, so
Okay.
I'll show you like
We're actually gonna
what I
have
do.
you guys do.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you click on the emoji generator, you'll see there's 2 types. So this one that's popping up, it has 1 emoji at a time. So for smaller kids, maybe you show them the trophy, and then you can say and then a turtle, and so they have to make a story from that and put as many as you want. And then
This one's also created by an educator, so he's filtered out all the ones that would not want to
There's
be.
no ink.
no,
No poop.
Sorry.
yeah,
We need chocolate yogurt. I don't know what you're talking about.
like the emoji actually came up for me yesterday or 2 days ago, so it's like awesome. So you can see you can make them as many as you want. If you just want one, if you want 10, 10. Okay, so on the bottom, we linked these two emoji generators. So the first one was the one you just saw, the one at a time, and then the second one was all at once. So I've used this one before, and you can put like, how many? Okay, I want 5. Enter, or randomize, and then if you're like, I don't want this one, you just press it again, and then you can press it until you get the one you want. Sure. That one? Yeah. Okay. Okay. So when I do this, I have 2 screens up. I have this, the emoji generator, and then I also have, would you like to say it?
Socratic.
Socratic. Something else I stop for it.
They don't.
We say Socratic. She says something else.
Socratic. So this is a free online. Has anybody heard of this before? Just curious. Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Awesome. So you can get a free account. I just have a free account, and I just have a teacher account. So I log in. I think I'm already logged in. Let's see. Yes, I am. And so if you go to which one? Thank you. Oh no,
We already have an active one.
Yeah. So reports, I believe, or rooms. One of the two.
Well, it's on the board.
It's on the board.
Oh, okay, perfect. Sorry. So you have to just go into the student login, so Socrative student login, and then you just have to put in my code, which is Augula6007.
It's also linked right here.
And we're just gonna have you write a short story, 2 sentences, super, super short, with just 2 emojis. Let's just do 2 so we can keep it going. So we'll do that one, and perfect. That's cute. So again, my code's right here. You need it.
The login?
It's vsocrative.com. The letter V.
We got that, but what's the login?
Yeah. Augula,
Oh, I'm sorry.
AGUILA 6007.
Capital.
You can pop it up.
But then I have to change the emojis.
Yeah, it just does it that way.
No.
Thank you.
Then I can't do it.
I go back.
Oh.
Yeah, my code's up there too.
In Raleigh room.
6007.
Student login. Yeah. So the student login, and then it should ask for your name.
6007.
And the two emojis you have. So as you see, I do toggle back and forth, so the kids can see the emojis and so they can all log in. But once they're logged in,
G.
then I toggle back and forth. So got it.
Ask your name? Yeah.
It's fine. Wonderful. We use a few minutes to write quickly.
Is that fish?
It is a fish. What type of blowfish?
Bless you. No. Actually, not even like that. I would have, should have. It didn't. Ooh.
Okay, so like Taryn said, you can make this flowchart and just have the kids write on a sheet of paper and turn it in if you want. But I use Socrative because after they submit their writing, they can vote on their favorite one. And so that's really fun for them, so they'd love to read other kids' writing too. So once you get, so you'll see,
When
your guys'
are
writing pop up. And then once you submit it, then you should be able to, or once everyone submits, I'll press start vote and then you guys can vote.
Yeah, so on our end, we're seeing everyone responses come in. Notice right now there's no names.
Keep that one.
Yeah. When we run a report, but here on the teacher side of it, when we run a report, we actually get the students' names. So
Yeah.
this can be used.
And when it runs a report, it's just an Excel sheet that has all their writing and the name right next to it, so it's really easy to look through. Super convenient. And they, like, I can't express it, they love this. Like, they love emoji writing. Sometimes I'm like, okay, I've done it like 50 times, but they still are obsessed, so. It's fun because it's new every time.
Okay, 15 seconds and I'm hitting start vote.
Okay,
Type fast, type fast. Shot clock. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Fish.
Love it. Awesome. Yep, so you start a vote, you press yes, and then on your end, you'll see the different stories, and that's where you get to vote for your favorite story, for the kids' favorite stories. And it's awesome because they read other people's stories. Like that's just so powerful to
You only get one vote?
One vote.
Yes.
Yes.
There's like a premium account. I don't have it. I just have the basic free teacher account.
Oh my
It works fine
gosh.
for me. So.
Because I'm even thinking like if you do have a large class, you could even do this in a smaller setting, so you don't have a kid having to do 30 different stories.
So sometimes I have this up where the kids can see like who's getting the votes, I guess. Or sometimes I'll like turn my screen off and then I'll say, I'll read out the story that won. And then they're super excited for whoever won. And then once people are done voting, you just press finish and then you can download that report and then you have it. Super simple. And if you don't want to do this, you don't have to. You just write it on paper. Super simple. 10 seconds until you finish.
It's letting me select number one.
What? What'd you do?
She has
How'd you break the
powers.
system?
Magical
Let me see.
powers.
Yeah.
Okay. There's for sure a set. Well, I know there's a setting that it's like allow for one vote.
I just, that's what I did, I pressed it.
Yeah. Did you push back at all? Or anything?
No, but I was able to select like A, C, D, and then.
Oh, and then
submit.
hit submit?
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, see, that's, okay.
Got it. Okay.
Something new.
Do we want to read one?
So the winner.
Big day for Ruth.
Love it. Winner for sure.
It was the name that she had me at Ruth.
That's a great name. I like it. I voted for that one too because of the
And then
name.
just press finish here, so then it'll like end it.
Yeah.
So if you press finish, then a whole plastic cell, then you can just download it and then or email it to yourself.
Nice.
Yeah, it's really easy. Cool. That's the emoji generator.
Any questions on Socratic? Emoji paragraph? Okay, plugging along. Cool. Okay, so the next part actually has two parts to it. It gets more into the presentation mode. So at the beginning of the year, that first week, you're doing all those fun get to know you activities with your kids, and this is a great time to actually introduce a protocol called the worst presentation ever.
Like we did this on the first day of school.
The first
Like,
day of school.
The actual first day.
So this is hyperlinked to a slide deck where it has all the different rules. It's basically telling the kids how to create the worst presentation ever. All the things that we're told not to do, but we always do. So I'm going to stand here and read the slides to you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm going to put a bunch of words, and I'm just going to read them to you because our audience can't read. I'm going to have too many pictures, too many fonts, all the great things. So this is a slide deck you can go through with the kids of the rules. You can also post it in Google Classroom so they always have access to it. And then I personally like to show, can you go back
Yes.
to my wonderful video, please?
Yes.
It is a video called Death by PowerPoint. How many of you have ever seen it? Okay. Be prepared.
Things I hate about PowerPoint, but I figured it's kind of fun to point them out. So here we go. Here's common PowerPoint mistakes. Number one, people tend to put every word they are going to say on their PowerPoint slides. Although this eliminates the need to memorize your talk, ultimately this makes your slides crowded, wordy, and boring. You will lose your audience's attention before you even reach the bottom of your first slide. Please don't do that anymore, please. Number two, most common, many people do not run spell check. Big mistake. Nothing makes you look stupider than spelling errors. If it's got a red line under it, recheck the spelling. And then finally, I hate this. Avoid excessive bullet pointing, only bullet key points. Too many bullet points, and your key messages will not stand out. Hence the bullet point.
So this is actually the clean version of it because it continues to another column and it kind of gets into material that you necessarily don't want your kids to talk about. So this is the clean version of it, just so you know.
Bad color schemes, not good. Clashing background and font colors can lead to distraction, confusion, headache, nausea, vomiting, and loss of bladder control. I can't stay on that one too long. Here's something I've noticed. The number of PowerPoint slides you have in your talk, the less useful your talk actually is. Unfortunately, my presentation is right there. I've also noticed this. People love to pack data into their presentation. They just shove more and more data thinking it's better, but it's not. The more data you have, the harder it is to read your slide, and the effectiveness plummets. Now you can improve the effectiveness by adding some shading and some 3D effects, and some second order and third order effects. I know, let's add some labels, that'll help a lot. And that's pretty much every marketing slide I've ever seen right there.
So that's, I say kids do animations to the extreme like that.
Yeah.
It's obviously.
Now, I'm into in animation. People become animators in PowerPoint. You can have things flying all over the place, and that can be good. If you're a visual learner, that will improve the effectiveness of your performance. But if you're easily distracted, more animations and people have no idea what you're talking about. They're just, wow, that is cool, wow. And there's regions here, by the way. There's the simple but effective region. There's the active but confusing, the effective but boring, the active but ineffective, the dull but static region, the busy but useless, the ADD only region, the useful but amusing, the stupid but confusing, the dull triangle, the hyper triangle, the sleepy square, the dizzying pentagon, and everything else I just call pointless motion. That slide right there took me an hour and a half to make. Right there. PowerPoint can just suck the life out of you. It's amazing. I've also come up with this. It's a kind of a little science I've invented called font analysis. Basically, the font you choose says something about who you are as a person. There's a huge list of fonts, and you choose one, and that says something about you. So be careful the font you choose. For example, if you choose Courier New, this happens to be my favorite, you're probably organized in structure. If you choose Matisse, it means you're artistic. And if you choose Times New Roman, it means you're lazy, apathetic, and unimaginative, and you always use the default. A lot of Times New Roman people, welcome. We got some more. If you use freehand script, you're a horrible speller, so you try to hide it with a hard-to-read font. Very smart. If you use Gothic, it means you're very pale and you wear black. And if you choose Wingding, it means you're a nerd and you have no life. In fact, if you know what those symbols mean, you will never have a date, trust me. Don't bother.
So, teach them the rules, and then their first assignment for me is to create a slide deck. First of all, their question is, what's PowerPoint? I said, thank you. Google Slides forever. You're going to create a slide deck of breaking at least 5 rules telling me about yourself. So the first slide might be just your name and a couple things about you, but you need to break a rule when you do it. So it might be a hideous background, it might be too many animations, whatever you decide. And that's their first project for me because 1, I'm getting to know them, and 2, they're learning what not to do in their presentations. Because the rest of the year in 6th grade, we have a ton of presentations, and I'm tired of them. Today I'm going to talk about ancient civilizations, and I'm staring at the back of their head the entire time. I go, let's go back to that first week of school and talk about all those different rules and what a presentation should look like. So that's the first activity I do regarding presentations. The second one, once they get a little bit more comfortable with it, is a protocol called thin slides. For this, we were talking about figurative language, and this takes them like super, maybe makes them really uncomfortable. Because all that safety net of putting up a bunch of words that they can reference back to, of like, okay, what am I going to talk about next? What am I going to talk about next? They get 1 slide, 1 image, and 1 word. That's it. Their entire presentation is those 3 things. So for our figurative language, they had to put an image that would show the lyric from a song. So we were doing figurative language in song lyrics. Can anybody guess what song this is? Fireworks. Katy Perry, Fireworks. So in their note section, they had to give me the artist, the lyric. So I knew what song they were referring to, just in case. And then the background image, depicting the figurative language, and then identifying what part of figurative language it is. Then there came up, they had 30 seconds, only 30 seconds. Most of them didn't need it. And they had to explain their thin slide. Thin, little content, focusing on the presentation. Think about all the different content areas you can do that and make them so uncomfortable. 1 word, 1 slide, 1 image. that was also the fun part, is we ended up trying to guess the song based on the image before they would tell us. Okay.
Yay, my turn.
We're doing great on time.
Yeah.
Proud of us.
Okay, this one I love, I use a lot too. So it's called the cyber sandwich. So thinking about that, you're having kids work collaboratively together on a slide deck. So the idea is 10, 10, 10. So you would, could you put up the, just click on the cyber sandwich, I think I walked through this one. Yeah. Okay, so there's a title, and that title can be whatever topic you're researching. So for us, we did one on Columbus Day and Indigenous Peoples Day. And so we're comparing and contrasting like, the different points in the articles that I pushed out to them. So on the bottom here, you have the students write their name, like student 1, put their name, student 2, write their name. And so then on the second slide, you'll see, you hyperlink an article, whatever you have, whatever you want them to compare, contrast. It could be history, it could be ELA, it could be science. Options are endless, honestly. And that's where this student has 10 minutes to independently work. And in that independent work time, it's silent, and the kids are reading and answering the who, what, when, and why. And you can change this appropriately to whatever the article you push out to them. And so student 1's taking notes on his or her slide, and student 2 is taking notes on his or her slide. So that's 10 minutes. The idea is 10, 10, 10. This is supposed to be a 30-minute activity. The first time I did it, it definitely took longer because I had to explain everything to them, but now they're really good at it. So again, you hyperlink the article at the top, and they have like a viewpoint or a stance that they're taking.
Well, the nice part is you can do this with same article
Yeah,
or opposing articles.
yeah. To see like, if you do the same articles, then what do these two kids who are completely different notice and take notes about? So then on the fourth slide, this is the 10 minutes that they have to work together. And in this collaborative work time is when they're talking, and your classroom is going to be loud, and you just have to deal with it, I'm sorry. And then you, they fill out this Venn diagram. So together they say, these are the things I noticed about Article 1. These are the things I noticed about Article 2. These are some similarities I noticed about both of them. And they work together on that for 10 minutes. And then the last part. So this is, again, independently. And we wrote this note. Start with a topic sentence and add your supporting details. They summarize the stance they took. So for that example of Indigenous Peoples Day or Columbus Day, I told my students, okay, take a stance. Which one do you support? And is this the example?
Yes,
Perfect.
the example.
So we put some gate icons, multiple perspectives, and ethics. And so if you scroll down, we did Columbus Day. So this is one of my kids' work. He said, this article is about Christopher Columbus, an Italian. You guys have asked. So you can read it. But you can see, if you click on that, I just have this article in my drive, and I just linked it into the text on this slide. So it's super simple. And they just flip back and forth between the article and this slide. And then that's student 1. And then this is student 2. This is the Indigenous Peoples article, their opinion. And then their note taking. This is where they all fill out together. So you can see they definitely collaborated, like both days were meant to celebrate a certain group of people. Like the fact that they got to that, I was like, okay, yes, like you guys are doing really well. And they work together, and then the last part is that summary part where they work independently. And they take their stance. They don't have to take the stance of the article that they got. So that's really important. I told them you do not have to take the stance of the article you got, you just have to support your stance. And this is what they wrote. And so how I do it is I just push it out in Google Classroom, and I say, okay, if Calvin's working with Reese just share it with Calvin, so then they're both on the same slide deck. Because if they're working on 2 separate ones, then I have to go back and forth. So it's easier just for 2 kids to be on the same deck. And then they just write their name at the beginning, because it says student 1, and I don't know who student 1 is, so way at the top, Calvin Parzik, student 1, Reese Patterson, student 2. Yep. It's just so easy. You literally just put in articles, have the kids 10 minutes independently read and work, 10 minutes collaboratively work, and 10 minutes write their summary. And they love it.
So
I love it.
we actually kind of broke protocol with this one in the sense that we went straight into content.
Yeah, we did.
If I were to do this again, I would probably recommend starting with something as simple as like cat versus dog. You know, like a very simple content so they can really focus on this. But we do have sixth graders and we're mean teachers and we demand a lot from them, so we said figure it out the first time.
But like, I did this too for like prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells. Like, that was a science example, and they also went into the material, dive deep, and were able to take the notes, compare, and then write their summaries about the differences. Yeah, so, you guys have that as well in this PowerPoint, or, oh, sorry.
No. No. Yeah, we finished early. Our question is, who's gonna try something on Monday? What are you gonna try? Who's got it? Who already has like, I know what I want to do on Monday?
I'm doing the emoji rainbow.
Yeah, I'm gonna try that one. It's a credit.
I like how you merged the two.
Do we have any questions? Because
Trying to answer them to the best of our
yeah, and you can have some playtime right now, so you can actually start creating what you want to do on Monday, because that's
Yeah.
always our goal.
Do you have a sample of the A part, what a kid did?
Yeah.
We do, yeah,
Tons.
let's pull one up. And then you could show them the, worst present ever too. Yeah, we can show you.
So like here is the A part that we did with social studies.
Oh, yeah.
So her group was focusing on early humans tools, and so there was an image from our social studies text of early humans, and it's a very primitive
Yeah.
image, and so she had to.
You could put the picture on the side, you could have it open in a different.
So with this, so we have the template and then the image. So here's the image that she was writing towards the social studies content. This one, I don't know if it's third grade finish. Yeah. I have too many classrooms from last year.
They don't give me anxiety. I just have to have one.
Let's go with this one. Nope. Two Emojis was my kid's favorite thing I learned last year here, and they begged me like, "We're doing one this week." Seriously,
They're like, oh my god, thanks. And then like if they get the emoji, they like freak out. Oh my god, can we please do it? And I'm like,
Wait, what was the other thing we asked you to see that? Oh. Oh, we're presentation. So here was from beginning of the year, worst presentation ever. There's her first slide.
I love being in sixth grade. Miss Clamson is so fun, and so is Miss Aguila. Thank you. You have taught my brother. I have been to Warner Bros. Studio. I love traveling. I love eating. Same.
Maybe you want to try and decipher what that says?
I love
I told him with the spelling, I'm like, please make it close enough that I can actually figure it out. I'm trying to learn from you.
Artist studying soccer,
There's text here. I can't really read it. Rainbows. But it's nice because if they do a presentation and they don't completely make it this horrible, but we can be, remember the worst present ever. Your goal is to be far, far, far away from that. So it's a good thing to reference back to.
And then thin slide. Oh no, I did this in one slide deck. So this I did in one, I create one slide deck and I put 100 slides in it.
So they don't fight.
So the attempt not to fight over the same slide, I'm like there are plenty of slides, just go find an empty one and put your name on it. to claim it, so
This is yours.
you can burn brighter than the sun. In the cold light of day where it's blowing in the wind. Also interesting song choices, that's always
Yeah,
fun.
you always learn
Marsh
something about that.
really?
Well, we should keep Girl on Fire. Lyric, this girl is on fire.
The duck song, that was, yeah. But again, the whole point of this is the presentation, so you're missing like the actual goal behind this, but again, that 111 really kind of freaks them out. The nice part about this is it also goes really quickly. I tell them the first time, I said, you have 10 minutes max. It's not, you don't need a half an hour to find your image. You don't need a half an hour to find your one word. It's meant to be very quick, and that time each time should be getting small. So they're not spending as much time on it.
So is it the iteration then that makes it stick?
It's the repetitiveness, so we try to do as many reps as possible so the kids are used to the formatting. And so once they get used to the formatting and used to the task, they just get to it. So that's what really
There's
for
very,
us.
by that point, it's like,
They know what it is. They just see, oh, in classroom, oh, this is what we have, and then we don't have to say anything.
I'm not spending time explaining the task anymore. They know what's expected.
It takes a while for us to like explain everything to them, but then once they do understand both beef and
No, I'm looking at the 8 parts because it's interesting. I'm just wondering how you taught it. Like, so if you had that one that was up there, they do, once you get their 3-word
The 3
sentence,
words.
then what do you do with the other boxes?
We go through it one at a time. The very first time, it is 100%.
No,
Yeah.
but, okay, so would you pull one up?
So do you take verbs from the other kids? Like what other verbs did they use or what other adverbs did they use?
So you take that picture that's over there.
Yeah, so
I
we
get,
say,
I
okay,
get
let's-
the caveman thing, alright? So
Yeah,
it's
so
right.
then it's like, okay, let's start with nouns. Because by 6th grade, most of them remember what a noun is. And we talk about the difference between a proper and a common, because one of them has to be a proper noun. So I say, what nouns do we see in this picture?
Okay.
Boy. Does he have a name? Jack. Oh, okay. His name's Jack.
I'm just laughing. Okay, fair enough.
And then what the adjectives?
Describe him.
Is it describing it, or does it matter which word it's next to?
It does not. But in the beginning, I like to say, if this is boy, I say, okay, let's describe the boy because it makes it a little bit easier for them. But eventually, it doesn't have to be. So describe the boy.
Naughty.
Naughty. Curious. Ooh, like that. Mischievous.
And then we get, so you do all of these, so you just have them go down, and you just pick 3 nouns from it, and you describe those ones, and you go over to verbs, and you just, so that
What's the finish in the middle?
like the
The paragraph. Find one from last year. So.
Kids samples of this one.
who's first?
OMG! I came home from gym class on Tuesday, only to find my toddler, Frederick, in my house, carelessly painting. He was walking happily and smiling unsteadily, for he knew he would get a timeout. He said, "Fun babies paint." Mischievous Frederick scrambled around like a bee in a beehive. But he knew he would be getting his purple toy taken away. That was a long night in the Tonkus family? Yeah. So she wrote this paragraph. She created this paragraph from this picture, and we guided them to come up with the participation.
So when they do the 3-word sentence, then just certain, any verbs any actions that you would use for that picture, adverbs.
Correct.
And going through, and they would just put prepositions, any ones that they wanted, that they felt were important, and they would use, those are the words they would use for their paragraph.
Correct, but in the beginning, I tell them they only need to use one word from each section, just maybe stepping it in, obviously adding more as the time goes. So, as she said, the goal is for us to create the outside part, and then their creativity comes into their storytelling.
Now for younger grades, maybe we haven't taught prepositions yet. So we would just hit prepositions and and maybe we haven't taught, conjunctions yet.
Mhm.
So we would just hit one new thing at a time.
No.
Or you just put them
Fill 'em
all,
all.
you could fill them in for them,
Uh-huh.
I would think on that one, so like,
So
those
like
would be
talk
like
about
little
what
parts, they actually
preposition
might
is.
put the conjunctions in there and they'd say circle, and, but, or, if so, and they'd choose one and circle it, so even if they didn't, they just.
But I'd explain what a conjunction is, they'd
Well,
fill them in.
Yeah,
I'd explain what a preposition is, they'd
Correct.
fill them in, okay.
that and with time you get to, yeah, so this is like baby parts. It's only two parts to it.
So instead of a paragraph here, you're just writing a sentence.
Got it.
Here we're more focused on the different types of nouns.
Okay.
There's also one that I've seen that it's called comma parts, where it has all the different times you could use a comma. So like between a city and a state, between a list, and they have to generate those ideas on the outside, and then it's still in their paragraph. They're showing the use of practicing using commas.
Yeah.
Okay,
But it's always that repetition
okay.
that really gets the kids used to practicing.
But you do fill out the entire chart, got it, thank you.
And when you start to see like, oh, okay, I see a common theme that everyone's struggling with prepositions, then
That's fun, yeah.
let's say on Monday, I would do like a 10-minute mini
lesson,
session
yeah.
on, okay, let's talk about this.
Right,
And then make sure that's really the focus that week in the 8 parts, but they're still doing everything.
yeah, I like that so much better than teaching grammar in isolation, I
Yeah,
love
And
it
it's,
so
it's
much.
fun.
doesn't work.
Yeah,
It
and this
doesn't
is
work.
fun for them, like they like to make stories and be creative.
Yeah.
And, you know, they have that outlet, so it's just so much better.
Even when you bring in the content,
It's
they're
so
not
much better.
hesitant because there's still a creativity piece to it.
Yes, I can see them cheering for grammar instead of, just putting their head down.
They don't even realize it's grammar though.
Right,
true.
right, it would just be more like a game.
It is, yeah, so it's just awesome, it's fun, and it's easy, you just post in Google Classroom and they just work on it.
Mhm.
How often do you use it in your sixth grade classroom, the other?
It varies. So I'm brand new to 6th grade, so I'm finding my way on how I can start bringing what I've done into what's already been established.
Yeah, but you
Because the whole idea is that once you talk about protocols, you become independent. So I could assign one of these, and let's say Tom's a great student, he needs one by Wednesday, but Marcella, is still working on the same one for 2 weeks. That's not she because they're still getting that practice.
What's the sing to the common else? The last slide before that? Sorry, the example. Has a little happy.
This one?
Oh, it's just sing it to the tune of. I'm not a singer, so I'm not.
Sing what?
This.
Oh, sing the sentences they print.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
There it is. That's why I'm in 6th grade.
Yeah. I don't know.
Actually.
But yeah, so super easy, they're all hyperlinked for you. Please use them, they're super fun, your kids will love them. And yeah, that's that.
I did a version of the worst Prezi ever this fall. I didn't want the students to go through the whole thing, but we did have a presentation that they were making that first week to teach me about themselves, and we're gonna put it on the wall. And so I made my sample, and I explained it, and I said, okay, so here's my example. And I had made a terrible example, and they were all like, and they just kind of stared at it for a while, and I was like, you don't like it? And they're like, well, I'm like, it's terrible, right? So let's fix it. What's wrong with it? And then they were telling me ways that I could fix it. So it was just a shorter thing, but it definitely made an impact because it was one of the first things that I showed them.
Well, they love it too because they're like, you're telling me I can break a rule? I'm like, yeah, all of them, please. Please, break every single one of those rules. And then the next time they try it again, I'm like,
You
sorry.
already broke it, now we're moving on.
Try again. Yeah.
Alright.
Has anybody tweeted out about our session? You did?
Okay, you get a book.
Perfect. I could verify this, but I trust you. Would you like 1 or 2?
One.
1. There we go. Congratulations. Anybody frantically tweeting as we talk? tied at 750 points each.
Fine.
It's like ridiculous. I'm like, oh my god, like you have to be Tom.
You mean Tom?
I said Tom.
Oh, I said Tom. Like, he's
No,
not here
no,
today.
I said Tom. Yeah, if anyone else wants the second one.
First hand.
We had tickets and we forgot them, so.
My hand was up.